Hey guys, so in today's video, I'm going to show you how to speed up your flat coloring process. Flat coloring is a very crucial step when it comes to making a finished illustration, but it can be time consuming. So in today's video, I'm going to go over the process I've come up with over my years of doing digital art that has really sped that up for me, and hopefully it will for you too. So let's get right into it. So today I'll be working in Ibispaintx, but you can use any digital art program that you want. And the illustration we'll be working with is EPO versus Iron Fist. It's fully inked and ready to be flat colored. So let's get started. So first I'm going to go up to the selection layer and grab my magic wand tool and start selecting everything except the characters, or everything outside the characters themselves. And using the selection layer will make your selection blue, which makes it easier to distinguish from your artwork. Once you've done that, you're going to go up here to this little dotted line box, and you're going to press Expand Contract. And these are the settings I use every time I do that. Expand by 2px, anti-alias 1.0. And that works every time. I've never had to change it before. If you do have to tweak it a little bit, it shouldn't be by much. And what that does is it expands the area you selected by 2px, which helps close those little tiny gaps and get you just inside the lines with your selection, which is what you want for the next step. You're going to press this button here, which is Invert Selection, which means it's going to take everything you've selected and then select everything you didn't select. So it's going to invert your selection, which will then select your characters or whatever it is that you want to flat color. But in this case, it's the characters. Then, now that they're selected, you're going to go and make a layer underneath the inks. And usually I don't name my files, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'll name this base, because this is going to be the base color. Then I'm going to select a huge brush and just fill in everything with a medium gray. You could fill it in with a lighter gray, a darker gray, or even another color if you want, but usually medium gray or white is the one I use. It helps you see everything better. Now I'm going to go back up to the little dotted line box and press Remove Selection Area because we no longer need this selected. And if I turn off the line work here, you can see that this is just the basic silhouette of your illustration. So everything that was selected is now filled in with that medium gray. Now I'm going to lower the opacity of that gray because it's a little bit too dark, and I usually just adjust the opacity to fit what my eyes want to look at for that moment. Now, if you just started bucketing this normally, especially with this line work style, which is why I chose this illustration specifically, you'll see a bunch of white spots, a bunch of missed sections, and that is going to cause you problems both now and later. Filling them in manually would be a tremendous pain, so here's what we're going to do instead. You're going to make a layer above your base color, and that will be your actual flat colors layer. Now, if you wanted to separate the flat colors between characters or separate your environment from your characters, depending on what the illustration is, you would just make a separate layer for each set of flat colors. But I'm just going to separate the flat colors for each character here. So I'll start with EPO. I'm going to lower the opacity of the line work and then go back into my flat colors layer.
Also, when I was editing this, I realized I never told you why you lower the opacity of the line work. It's so that while you're doing the outline for the colors, you can clearly see where you're at and where you've been, so you're not going back over yourself. Okay, now back to the video.
And taking a thin brush and his skin color from the reference layer, reference window, not layer, I'm going to trace the outline of every part of him that will be skin color. Then I'm going to change my bucket tool settings from reference canvas to reference current layer, What this does is, when you have it set to canvas, your bucket tool will reference whatever is on the screen at the moment. You can set it for a specific layer where you select which layer it's going to reference, or use current layer, which means it's going to reference the layer you're currently in. That's what we want for this. Then when I use my bucket tool, it fills in every area that's supposed to be skin color that we have outlined. And there's no white spots, no misses. It's a perfect fill. And when you turn the line work back up, it looks even better. So what we're going to do now is start grabbing colors from our reference window and repeating this process with the white wrap around the gloves and the boxing trunks. Now once you reach a certain point, you're going to want to add a layer and continue this process on the layer above. So for the gloves, they're going to go over a little bit of the skin color that I previously filled in, but that's intentional. The skin color was the biggest area, so I filled that in first, and I just filled in every part of it. And then you're basically just going to go piece by piece from biggest to smallest and just fill in every portion of the illustration. And by doing it on a layer above, not only will you be coloring over what you've previously filled, but since you're referencing your current layer, none of the colors underneath are going to affect your fill, which means that you can fill quicker. Then after each color, you're going to merge it down and keep your layers neat. You can leave them separate if you wanted to do a specific layer effect on a certain color, or you weren't sure about your colors and you wanted to adjust them individually. But normally you just want to keep merging it down until you have all the flat colors in one layer. Then you might have to take your brush or your tool and go in for some of the more detailed areas, but basically you're done. And this only took me 13 minutes, 12 minutes. I'll put the exact time up there. But with the type of line work style that I used, using the regular bucket tool or just filling it in like I was painting it in, brushstroke by brushstroke, would have taken me way longer. So filling in a complex illustration like this only took me 12 to 13 minutes. And the process was simple, the process was fast. Now I'm going to just go through and do the same with Iron Fist. It'll be even simpler for him because he has less colors to work with, I believe. And then I'll come back to you guys in a minute. Alright, now that that's done, I'll put the time up here, how long it took me for each character to do the flats, and then how long it took me collectively. And if I wasn't doing this illustration for a tutorial, I probably could have shaved off about 2-3 minutes. Now, the more complex your illustration, the more layers you might need, the more time it could take. But all in all, this process is way faster, especially when you're working with line work like this. If your line work is super simple to begin with, you probably won't need to use this process. But if you like to draw more detailed or put a lot of line work in there, this process will help you a lot. Thanks for watching. I hope that video helped you, taught you something, or was just, flat out entertaining. If you decide to use this process, let me know how it works for you in the comments. Like, subscribe, share, and check out some of my other videos. You might like them. Until next time, see you guys later.